Hello and welcome. Today we are going to talk about cloud computing resource pooling, which is an essential concept in cloud environments. So let's dive right in. Shared resources in the cloud. Well, if it is AWS, Google, Azure, every cloud platform will use this concept. So cloud providers, like all these three, and even other cloud providers which are small, let's say in China or maybe IBM Cloud, offer a variety of resources like compute, storage, and networking, which are shared across multiple customers. Instead of each customer having their own dedicated hardware, these resources are dynamically allocated based on demand. This way, cloud providers can efficiently manage and scale resources to meet the need of many users. It simply means that there's a big pool of resources, everybody will share the same pool. If someone needs more resources, fine, the resources will be allocated. But then that person or that organization stop using it, that resource is not wasted. That will be allocated to someone else. So that is how they are sharing it among each other. So what does this mean for you as a user or customer? Well, there are few key features of shared resources in the cloud. The first logic is multi-tenancy. This is where multiple customers share the same physical infrastructure in the data center. However, don't worry, your data and workload are still kept in isolated bubbles, or isolation, basically. The next one is resource pooling itself. Resources like CPU, memory, and storage are pooled together, and they're allocated to customers on an as-needed basis. This ensures effective use of resources and better scalability. The next is virtualization. The magic behind this is virtualization. The magic behind the whole cloud computing is virtualization. That's the most important technology, the concept. Virtualization, which allows physical hardware to be abstracted into virtual resources or virtual instances. Think of it as in a way there that you are creating new and new machines in the actual host machine, which can be shared by different users at the same time as well. What's the benefit? Now, why it is important? There are several benefits for that. Let's discuss the benefits. The first one is the most important for every business, that is cost efficiency. Save money means make more money, make more profit in the end. So you only pay for what you use. Since resources are shared, the costs are shared out among many customers. It simply means if the platform is pretty famous, like AWS, Azure, or Google, then they can offer services for cheaper rates as well. It's all about demand and supply. The next is scalability. As demand grows, resources can be easily scaled up. And when the demand decreases, they can scale down just as easy. The next is flexibility. You get on-demand resources that can be adjusted according to your specific need without waiting for hardware upgrades. That simply means that if you want more storage, for example, your Apple storage, yes, you have to pay for it, but the moment you pay for it, Apple can immediately give you, I think, 5 GB of data. They don't have to call you back and say, hey, wait for your 5 GB, we are buying new hard drives. No, they already have a lot of resources in pool. Ah, security and isolation. Of course, security is always a concern when sharing resources with someone else you don't even know. But don't worry, cloud providers make all their best effort and have built-in measures to protect your data. The best one is that your data is always encrypted inside data centers. So that is your data isolation. Even though resources are shared, your data is kept separate and secure by encryption at rest. If you want encryption in transit, you can also do that for added security. The next is your access control. Not everyone can just access your information or your data or your resources. There must be proper privileges assigned. So, cloud providers also enforce strict access control. So only authorized users can access their resources on both front, cloud as well as in the data center. Even Microsoft or Google employee cannot read your data. It is encrypted. And if you don't trust them, you can even keep the keys, the encryption keys, with you. Now, let's talk about how cloud provider make sure resources are being used efficiently or effectively. Well, old concepts and simple concept. Now you should already know that. The first one is auto-scaling. This is when resources automatically adjust based on real-time demand. For example, if you are running a website or a web server, which is very critical, and the traffic spikes, means your company is now famous and a lot of customers actually come to your website. The cloud can scale up resources to handle the load and scale them down when the traffic drops. For example, during Christmas time, right? You may want to scale up immediately. And when the eve is gone, you can scale down. The next concept is load balancing. Well, it evenly, or inside the load balancing, cloud provider makes sure that they evenly distribute your workload across multiple servers, ensuring no server is actually overwhelmed, which keeps everything running smoothly. It's just like grouping or dividing the load among all the users so that there is no user who's actually overwhelmed and just quit. The next is resource monitoring. Yes, it's not like reactive response is the best solution. Sometimes you have to do things proactively. So what is resource monitoring? Well, cloud providers constantly monitor usage to make sure resources are optimally allocated. If something is being underutilized, it can be adjusted to avoid wasting resource in the future. Now, to make sure resources are always used effectively, cloud providers use a few techniques. The first technique is right sizing. This means selecting the right size of resources for your needs. You don't want to overpay for capacity you're not using. You only want to pay for the stuff you use, right? So that is right sizing, and both cloud platform as well as organization have equal responsibilities here. The next is spot instances. I say big discounts here. So what is this? Well, there are lower cost instances for tasks that aren't that critical. They can be interrupted, but they're perfect for non-essential workloads. So in basic term, it means that you want to use cloud functionality, but you don't mind if it is interrupted or there's a downtime because the task is very low usage or the criticality is very less. So if high availability is not required, then cloud provider can also give you spot discounts on that. The next is serverless computing, yet another technique to save some money. With serverless computing, you pay only for the time your script or your code is actually running on the provider's infrastructure. No more worrying about managing servers or paying for idle time when the server is not doing anything. In conclusion, cloud resource pooling is all about sharing resources efficiently across multiple users, which helps reduce costs and improve scalability. By using techniques like autoscaling, right sizing, cloud provider ensure you get the right amount of resources at the right time. It's actually a win-win for both cost saving and performance. Thank you for tuning in today. See you in the next episode. Take care.